The summer heat waved off the asphalt outside the Rusty Spur diner, turning the afternoon into a hazy blur of gasoline and shimmering heat. The aroma of juicy burgers and freshly brewed coffee wafted through the screen door, mingling with the distant rumble of motorcycles on the highway. Inside, the tired air conditioning hummed, offering a small respite from the brutal Oklahoma sun. Sarah Miller sat alone in a corner booth, her history textbook open but completely ignored. Her eyes were glued to the window. At 14 years old, she had learned to understand the world in a unique way. Born deaf, she'd spent her entire life watching lips, watching hands gesturing, watching faces reveal secrets that voices tried to hide. It was how she survived, in a world that often forgot she was there. Her mum worked double shifts at the manufacturing plant now. Ever since her dad left 3 years ago, Sarah spent most afternoons at the diner, where Mrs. Johnson let her stay for hours with just a glass of iced tea and her school books. It was better than the empty apartment, better than the silence she had always known. She was about to open her book again when 3 men walked in. They weren't locals. Their clothes were too clean, their movements too precise. They took a booth 2 down from her, and Sarah watched them, like she watched everyone, her eyes casually drifting to their lips. Before we go any further, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and standing up for what's right, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to this channel, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from. Because stories like this remind us that humanity still exists in every corner of the world. The men didn't know she could read lips. Nobody ever did. It was her secret superpower, a gift her silence had given her, and what she read made her blood run cold. "The target will be here in 20 minutes, one of them said. "Parks his bike out back. We take him there, quick and quiet." Another man nodded. "The club will never see it coming by the time they find him. We'll be 3 states away." Sarah's heart hammered against her ribs. She didn't know who they were talking about, but she understood enough. Someone was going to get hurt. Someone was going to die. And she was the only one who knew. 15 minutes later, a motorcycle rumbled into the parking lot. Sarah watched through the window as a huge man climbed off, his leather vest bearing patches she had seen in movies and news reports. Hell's Angels. He walked towards the diner, completely unaware of what awaited him. Sarah didn't think. She grabbed her notebook, scribbled frantically, and stood up. Her legs felt like water. Her hands were shaking so badly she could barely hold the paper. The 3 men watched her with cold eyes as she walked past them, towards the biker who had just stepped through the door. He was huge. Tattoos covered every visible inch of skin, and his eyes were hard as iron, the kind of man Sarah would normally cross the street to avoid. But she walked straight up to him and shoved the notebook into his hands. He looked at her, confused. Then he looked at the paper. 3 men, 2 booths back. "They're going to ambush you in the parking lot." I read their lips. "They want to kill you. I am deaf. Please believe me." The man's eyes flicked, casual and quick, towards the 3 strangers. Something changed in his face. The confusion melted away, replaced by something cold and calculating. He looked back at Sarah, really looked at her for the first time. His lips moved slowly, deliberately, making sure she could read every word. "Thank you, stay inside. Do not move." What happened next? Sarah only saw through the window. The biker walked outside, and within minutes, 3 unmarked vehicles appeared from nowhere. Men in leather vests surrounded the diner. The 3 strangers were escorted out the back, their faces pale with terror. No violence, no bloodshed, just a quiet, efficient removal. The biker, who she would later learn was named Stone, came back inside and sat across from her. He pulled out his phone, typed something, and showed her the screen. "You saved my life. What is your name?" Sarah wrote back. "Sarah Miller. I am sorry I could not tell you out loud. I am deaf." Stone typed again. "You told me the only way that mattered. Can I buy you dinner?" They sat together for 2 hours. Stone typed. Sarah wrote. He learned about her father leaving, her mother working double shifts, the college applications she was working on, her senior year. She learned that he had a daughter too, about her age, who he hadn't seen in years because of mistakes he had made before he left. Stone gave her a card with a phone number. If you ever need anything, he typed, anything at all, you text this number. 6 months passed. Sarah worked harder than she had ever worked in her life. The college applications were brutal, the essays exhausting, but she pushed through. When graduation day arrived, she stood in line with her classmates, her mother crying in the audience, feeling like maybe, just maybe, things were going to be okay. Then she heard it, or rather she felt it, the vibration of engines so powerful it shook the ground beneath her feet. She turned toward the parking lot, and her heart stopped. Motorcycles, hundreds of them. They filled the entire street, chrome gleaming, engines rumbling like controlled thunder, leather vests everywhere, red and white patches blazing under the afternoon sun, and walking toward the graduation ceremony, Stone at the lead, was what looked like an army. The principal stopped mid-speech. Parents and students turned to stare. Security guards reached for their radios, but Stone raised his hand, and everything went quiet. Sarah Miller, his voice boomed across the stunned crowd. 6 months ago, you saved my life. You didn't know me, you didn't owe me anything, but you saw danger, and you acted. Today, I'm here to return the favor. A woman stepped forward, carrying a large envelope. Stone took it and walked to where Sarah stood frozen in her graduation robes. He handed her the envelope and typed on his phone. Full scholarship, any college you want. Books, housing, everything, paid in full for 4 years. Sarah's hands trembled as she opened it. The amount made her mother scream. It wasn't just a scholarship, it was a future. And this, Stone added, gesturing to a biker who wheeled forward a brand new laptop and a set of professional camera equipment. For your film studies, he smiled. The first genuine smile Sarah had ever seen on his hard face. My daughter is deaf too. I know how hard the world can be. You showed me that disability isn't weakness, it's power. The entire graduation ceremony erupted into applause. Sarah's mother rushed from the audience to embrace her daughter, and for the first time in her life, Sarah Miller didn't feel invisible at all. She felt seen, truly seen. It was a feeling she'd never experienced before, a warmth that spread through her, chasing away the chill of years of neglect. Stone found her one last time, as the engines of those Harley-Davidsons began to roar back to life, shaking the very foundations of the Rusty Spur Diner. He tapped out one final message on his phone, a message that would stay with her forever. You have a family now, he typed, his eyes conveying more than the words themselves ever could. 250 brothers and sisters who will never forget what you did. A bond forged in quiet courage, a silent promise of unwavering support. Call anytime, he emphasized each word, each letter a brick in the foundation of their newfound connection. For anything. And before we wrap things up, we have a special request for you, our viewers. Comment below with the words, "Silence speaks louder than words," to show you stand with Sarah and all those who fight their battles in quiet strength. Because sometimes, the greatest courage comes from those who cannot speak, and the loudest gratitude and the most profound appreciation comes from those who understand what it means to finally be heard, to be acknowledged, to be validated. Remember, your limitations are not your destiny. They are your superpower, waiting to be discovered, waiting to be unleashed. You are stronger than you think, more resilient than you know, and braver than you can possibly imagine. Believe in yourself, always.